Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar produced by Business Performance USA. We are so glad to be back today to talk about social media essentials. We're going to be continuing this series, which is selecting and implementing social media strategies by social-centric media. Today we're going to be talking about beyond the big three. And if you've been following us on this webinar series, you'll know that Kenna Lewis, who is the savvy socialista behind these webinars, has been talking about social media essentials, first from the planning perspective, and then she's talked about the big three: Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, as well as Twitter. Now we're going to be talking about some more today, and we know that this will be a very, very informative webinar. So let me go ahead and introduce myself. I am Cynthia Stewart. I am managing partner for Evermore Services and your partner in building tomorrow's businesses today. I'll be your host for this hour, and this is Kenna Lewis, and I'll introduce her in just a minute. I do want to make sure that this hour is worth your time. I am getting a little feedback from our audience, so be sure to put yourselves on mute. Um, what you can do is always ask questions using the question feature on your dashboard for GoToWebinar, and I'll be monitoring those so that I can ask questions of Kenna, and that makes everything more interesting. We'll be asking her questions as we go. Also, I want to make sure that you know that you can follow these webinars just by logging into businessperformanceusa.org. If you go out there, you can become a member and you will be able to see all of these webinars by Kenna on social media. And they're excellent, by the way. They're very informative for you, especially if you're kicking off your social media or you want to make sure you're doing making full use of your social media. You want to be coming to these webinars and following them on video at a time that's good for you, and it's all free. So we welcome you to join us and participate in that way. So let's talk about Kenna real quick. I want to make sure that you know that Kenna, first of all, got her start in corporate America, but she has, and she did excel in corporate America in Fortune 500 companies. And since she left corporate America, she has been an energetic entrepreneur, de- founding companies, multiple companies. It seems to be in her blood to be an entrepreneur. One of those companies we're getting the benefit of is social centric media, and she has been very engaged in the social media arena since its early foundings and is very knowledgeable, keeps up with the trends, and knows all kinds of information. Whenever I talk with her, I can find out all that I need to know, and probably more than I can possibly even remember, because she's quite the expert in this arena. She also founded the Leadership Institute for Kansas City, and they provide leadership development and coaching to companies. She also founded Craving Talk Radio, which is an internet web talk radio, and some of our guests have been participating on the radio. You want to get out to Craving Talk Radio and look at what's available for podcasts there as well. So one thing about Kenna is that she shares her social media marketing savvy with us on these webinars, and we very much appreciate it. To know her is to love her. So you guys stay tuned. You're in for a treat. And with that, I think I'll go ahead and turn it over to Kenna so she can get started on today's webinar. So Kenna, let me share my screen with you.
All right. Sounds good. That was a very sweet introduction. Thank you, Cynthia. Let's see when the little thing comes up for me to take it over.
All righty. And I'll let you know when I see it.
All righty. Do you see it?
I see it.
All right.
I'm going to mute and let you take it away.
I'm very excited to be talking about this because I think so many times when I talk to business people, they only look at the big three, which is Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And yes, I've talked about Pinterest, which probably will become the big four as of right now. But depending on your demographic, depending on who you're trying to reach, depending on the type of business you are, there are so many other social media platforms that you should be looking at and testing and trying. When you have a successful strategy, you need to not lose focus on the long term for a short term result. You need to take a look at the people that you're trying to reach and how you're going to engage them. And if I can say one thing in this presentation that I probably say in every one, content is still king, and your content has to be there. It doesn't have to be long and wordy, but it has to be very draws the reader in, creative, something that they want to keep coming back and back for. I say become prolific at the content and the market that you're in, and I'll even touch upon that at the end of this so you won't forget. But when you take a look at social media, it is not a get-rich-quick strategy. If you think you're going to go viral in 30, 60, 90 days on social media, you know, that happens to maybe 1/10 of 1% of the population. If you're a celebrity, maybe that happens, but it's not going to happen to the local business, but it is a long-term strategy for you to use social media. Forbes has said, as others have, that social media is no longer a luxury, that it is a necessity. So put that in your mind when you think about your brand and your entire marketing strategy, that social media is critical to that. When you take a look at social media, I kind of laugh at it is free and it's not free because your time is always critical. It's worth a lot, especially to the business owner. So there is a time investment in doing social media. A lot of the platforms you can join free, like Twitter, Facebook you can join, but if you really want to promote your page now, that's becoming a financial investment. LinkedIn, obviously, you can get on for free. So there are social media platforms you can use and use daily that are free, but remember that it is still your time and you need to make sure how you use it to have effective social media. When you do an initial planning for a social media market strategy and you want to determine what the outcome is, this is the stuff that you need to look at. You need to look, what will you use social media for? Are you using it for customer service? Are you using it just to get product information out? Are you just trying to get specials out? Are you trying to educate a customer? Think about the different uses you're going to use social media for. Look at the channels. Is it just another marketing channel? Is it your prime marketing channel? I have business owners who believe that now social media is the only way to go. They've quit radio advertising, and I had one that had spent a lot of money on television advertising, and he thought he was getting, and he believes, and he's got the ROI to prove it, that he's getting more bang for his buck off social media now than anything else. I'm working with a hauling company, and they're getting response both on social media as well as Google Ads. So take a look and see how social media is going to fit into your scheme of your bigger marketing strategy. Customer service. Use it for real-time customer service. Sprint. My phone was out. I say this often. I didn't go call Sprint. I went to Twitter, found out what was going on, didn't need to call them, knew exactly when my phone would be back on service. A lot of people, Southwest Airlines uses it very well. If a customer complains about Southwest Airlines, they are all over that and trying to talk to the customer one-on-one then to see how they can help. And what are you looking at your marketing strategy in social media for? Is it strictly to directly generate revenue? Social media sometimes gives you the exposure, the credibility, your niche marketing where you become the expert. It gives you all that before it'll actually sometimes drive revenues. So you need to think about that as well. Social media does. I've done $20,000 deals. I've sold out t-shirts. I've done a couple $1,000 deals all through different social media platforms, Twitter mainly for those. But I did draw revenue, but that wasn't the only reason to use social media. Now you can dominate the competition, your competition, and most people don't do many of these. Some don't do any of these still, which is hard to believe. And some only do one or two, and they don't even do that well. But most businesses have a Facebook page. Having a Facebook page, even though I have mixed emotions, and go back and look at my Facebook webinar with Business Performance USA, where I talk about what's going on with Facebook. But it's a necessity like a website. People expect you to have a Facebook page. Twitter, it's growing quickly. Get on Twitter and your reach will be so much more extensive. YouTube, people don't use YouTube the way that they should and can really get your business exposure. And of course, Pinterest, which is driving web traffic to your website, is probably the highest social media platform doing that right now. So think about all the things I've told you, and now you know about the big 3 or 4, and we're going to go through some of the other social media platforms that you need to probably look at and think about based again on your market segment, your demographic, and then start to implement these. And then you can start measuring results. And I caution people that results aren't going to be as tried and true as you think they might be. I have one client who has 700 Facebook followers. All her questions, all her posts get no response on her Facebook page, but Twitter lights up. Everybody responds to her on Twitter because those posts go to Twitter. It's amazing. So if you only looked and said, oh, well, my Facebook page isn't doing well, well, it is, but it's doing well on another platform, but you're still being successful because you're getting that engagement. You're getting people to talk to you and want to pair with you and want to go out for coffee with you. So those are the type things to look at. It's not I'm going to do this for a month and I expect $1,000. You need to look at your long-range strategy and how this positions not only you for revenue, but for your overall, what kind of company are you? Now I'm briefly going to go over the big 3. Facebook, we talked about 128 million users, 1.1 billion monthly active users as of March 31st on mobile. 72% of online adults visit Facebook at least once a month. Now, that's not true for the 25 and under, which we'll talk about on some of the other platforms you may be looking at if that's a target market for you. But online adults are visiting once a month. The number of Facebook users in India alone is over 100 million. So if you're a global company and that's one of your areas that you target, then obviously Facebook's a great place for you to be. There are more than 50 million Facebook pages. And the most common reason to unlike a Facebook page is uninteresting posts. So again, when we talk about content and you think about what you're delivering to people, make sure that those posts are interesting to the people that have said, I like your page, I want to know more. 75% of the engagement on a post happens within the first 5 hours. I usually, if you're going to do multiple posts on Facebook a day, you only do them every 3 to 4 to 5 hours, and just for that reason there. And reach has gone down to 2%. It's probably going to decrease more, so that's why you have to have other platforms in place for social media. Unless you want to pay, my guess is probably the cheapest, $150 a month, $300 a month to get Facebook exposure is what you're going to have to budget to get at least 100% of the people that liked your page to see it, plus to bring in additionals. So that probably scares a lot of people when they hear that number. So that's why the rest of these platforms are really critical, especially if you don't have the budget for that. Twitter. I love Twitter. I wish more people understood it. It's probably the one that people don't understand the most, but your reach can be significant with this platform. 255 million active users, 1 billion total users, 500 million tweets are sent per day, 78% are on mobile. Average time spent on Twitter is 177 minutes a month. And considering that it's a 140 character platform and it's a very quick tweet retweet type social media methodology, 177 minutes to me, I was actually surprised by that. And the average following is 350 or less. And I'll tell you, one of the things that social-centric media, and we're really good at, is getting Twitter followers. And most of ours don't have 350 or less for very long. It's just usually when they start from zero, and we get them into the thousands, four figures pretty quickly. Brands use Twitter to boost awareness rather than sales. And this is really important. You can increase your brand awareness. You drive traffic. Engage, engage, engage. You need to build relationships. Social media is networking. And think about that when you do anything. It's no different than going to a networking event. That's what you're doing on social media. You can find new leads. You improve your brand image. You increase your customer loyalty, and eventually you do drive sales. But people aren't on Twitter for those reasons. Just to drive sales. They're on for the other reasons. And if you can increase your brand awareness, what does that eventually do? It gets more customers, and it drives more revenue. Of course, LinkedIn is the big one for a lot of business users. There's 187 million monthly active users. 44,000 is the average number of daily LinkedIn mobile job applications. So if you know anybody looking for a job, they need to be on LinkedIn. 41% of LinkedIn visits are now via mobile, and that's increased pretty dramatically for LinkedIn. Obviously, it's not over the 50% mark because a lot of people are still doing it on their computers, but that's really increased. LinkedIn reaches a total of 200 countries and territories geographically. 39 million students and recent college graduates are on LinkedIn. So again, if that's a target market for you, you're trying to, you sell insurance and you want to sell insurance to that those students just leaving college, then LinkedIn is another great platform for you to use. And again, I've done webinars on all three of those, so go back and take a listen, and you'll get a lot more information. Pinterest, we talked about it as well. 500,000 business Pinterest accounts and growing. Draws so much traffic, both international and domestic. It's the highest platform of income for people that use Pinterest, 75,000 and above. If you're a man on the line, you're probably thinking, oh yeah, that's where my wife gets recipes. It's only do-it-yourself projects. It's just a female thing. Well, even though, yes, probably more women are on Pinterest than men, one of the two largest growing niches within Pinterest are antique tools and automobiles. Obviously, that's a more male-dominant areas of interest. So it's growing. So don't think about it just for your wife. There's a lot of businesses doing significant traffic to their website and getting actual orders. And if you take a look at amount per order from Pinterest, it's between 140 to 180, which tops Google and Amazon. If you've got products you can sell, do that. I have Sorority Corner. She sells books and she sells them off of Pinterest. So it's a great thing to think about too. And again, huge amounts of traffic. But one of the reasons we're here is to talk about beyond the big three. And one of the things I find increasingly is that people have not done a very good job with their local search. Local search is critical for many reasons. It's critical for your Google SEO, except SEO is not even really a big, that word's not used as much, but to get your ranking up on that front page, it's huge. It's a way, if you're a very localized business, for you to be seen and exposed. And the other thing is that with Siri and the other voice technology platforms where you speak into your phone and say, hey, I want a pizza place, if you're a business and you have not done your local search, they will not find you based on the algorithms that they're currently using, because the way they pick it up is from different local searches that you're on. So huge for you to do it, and it's not just a one or two type thing. I put all these that started with Manta and ends in to find local. Those are all different local searches that you probably should have your business on. Now, don't get overwhelmed by that. Most of those are something that you can put your information on, maybe put a picture up, and leave it. You don't have to go do it every day. You don't have to do it once a month, once every 6 months. If anything changes about your business, such as a new phone number or you want to add an 800 number, then you would go back and update it. There are a couple of them that allows you to put coupons or specials on. So Merchant Circle does that, and so that might be something you might keep up more often if you're trying to drive in new business. I know one who goes in between giving a discount to veterans and active servicemen and new business and um, senior citizens. So different coupons to draw on different traffic segments for him, and he does it off of Merchant Circle. So take a look at all those. I've laid them out for you. Have somebody do them and put your information on. Now, of course, we'll talk about Google+, but Bing and Yahoo are two places you also need to have your business pages created, and they let you do that. Now, the funny thing is, for all you Bing, those going to Bing, if you're a Mac user, you really, unless they've changed that in the last few months, I haven't been there recently, uh, they won't let you do it from your Safari browser. So I had to go, anytime I do a client, I have to do it on my husband's computer because he has a PC to get to Bing. So a little bit of competition there. Anyway, so fun, important, do it. Any questions so far? Cynthia, do you have any?
Well, I can't help but think about this idea that maybe all of this is really good in the B2C market, but um, maybe you could, as you go through this, what about the B2B market, especially as I look at some of those platforms and some of the local search. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, and it'll kind of come out. What was it? I was reading an article the other day that said people need to get off the B2B and B2C, that it's really B to clients. It's connections, it's networking. It's yes, there are some things that may be more geared toward B to retail, but we're getting too caught up in the B2B, B2C. And I think though, even if you're a business doing only business with and you're not really hitting the consumer market, doing some of this stuff is still critical if you have any competition. If I'm a new business coming up and I just started and I'm pulling this out of the air, but let's say I'm making a widget and I need bolts and screws that I want to get in mass. Where am I going to go to do that? I'm going to go to Google, right? And I'm going to go look up Kansas City, where can I buy bolts and screws? And it's going to tell me, and it will tell me based on the information that Google has on the companies, and the ones with the best local search will still come up higher, even in a B2B market. So don't forget about that and just say, oh, I'm not sure this is important to me as a B2B. I think local search, especially in a B2B market, is really important. YouTube. YouTube is a very big platform to consider. There's some things obviously that they've done that I think has made some people not like going there as much. One, there's so much out there now. Two, they're putting ads in front of everything. It's still looked as an entertainment venue. But you can upload videos that focus on what you intend to market. Demonstration videos are perfect for YouTube. So if you're trying to explain how to do something with a software product, or you can go to, if you're building a WordPress blog, you can go and there are videos all over the place to tell you and help you make those blogs better, or to do one from scratch. And that's a great use of YouTube. There are YouTube videos out there how to put a desk together if you've bought certain products, and they'll tell you, you can go out there and look. Shoot, I used YouTube to figure out how to tie bow ties for my son a long time ago to teach him. So there's a lot of great information along those lines out there, and they're free to upload. What people make a mistake sometimes in doing, and this is going to be true of everything you do, if you can memorize one word intently for everything you do, think about your keywords. When you upload a video, when you put who you are in LinkedIn, when you do anything, make sure your keywords are used, and they're very important. So make sure when you upload a video, it's not only about the product, but the keywords people look for when they're searching for you. Create a clear call to action for your viewer. Tell them what you want. And I, I get frustrated even with websites sometimes when, and I'll try to talk a customer through this, but if you don't have a clear call to action on your website, or the customer knows why he's there, then you've lost a valuable piece of traffic. If you go to a website and you look at it and you're like, I don't get it, I don't know what they're trying to tell me or what they're trying to do, that's a big loss. So you can create a clear call to action on the end of anything, on any video that you put up. Tell the viewer what you want them to do next. There's intense competition on YouTube. Ads will be added. I already spoke about that. It's not a great platform for website links, as ads will be added, and Google treats its own very well. And YouTube is a prime example of this fact. They feature prominently in Google search results. So think about that, especially if you've got products that you can do demonstration videos on, or you want to just tell people more about your company. Small teaching videos on, if you're a leadership company or whatever, you can do those things. Now, there is an alternative to YouTube that some people like more, and that's called Vimeo. Vimeo allows you to customize a presentation. You can alter player colors to match your brand, and you can prohibit video ads on your video, which that's why a lot of people probably like it right there. And you have better interaction with your audience. You can create an open forum where viewers can comment, because if they can comment and you can respond back, that gives them an incentive to return. This one has a strong focus on maintaining your integrity. You can have member-only views. So I've used Vimeo with my daughter on her business sorority corner. I set that up for. So she had some videos that were membership only. So when they were a member of her website, they could go, because they've already paid, they could go watch the videos. Our radio show that we do on Craving Talk Radio, we uploaded that before we did our podcast player, so people could go listen to it. And of course, it was members only, and it was an added benefit for the people that subscribe to the website. So that's a great thing to think about, especially if you have membership-only sites, and a lot more people are going to those. High quality in both the content. The site caters to users seeking quality content. So Vimeo rewards that. Users have the freedom to choose their thumbnails. It allows for podcasts or audio uploads, and it's not as great for SEO. And I will tell you, it takes a lot longer to upload something to Vimeo than YouTube. So just know that going in, it's kind of painful, especially with video. But just know that. But there are things about Vimeo I like better than YouTube. But both are great markets. Again, it's understanding who you are and what you want to do.
So, Kenna,
No, yeah.
it sounds like that YouTube is a great way to get found with regard to SEO and Google and get people interested, and that Vimeo is a great way to really um, not build your market, but to build the relationship and the trust with your market.
I think that's a good way to put it. Vimeo, I mean, you can go to any ad on Google or any video on Google, and you'll see a lot of comments, and some inappropriate, and some you wish weren't there, some that are just mean. I don't see that as much on Vimeo as I do YouTube. And that's also probably because of the numbers that are there on YouTube versus Vimeo. But there's a lot to look at with it, and again, it depends, and you can do both. I mean, you could put something up on YouTube and put it up on Vimeo. There's nothing to say that you can't do that. So you may be trying to build an audience there, and if you've got a product demo, people are going to go look at Google and try to find how to do something. And again, that alone, if you take anything away from my presentations besides content and keywords, it is think about what people are putting into Google to find you and your products. Think about what they're doing at 3 a.m. in the morning when they can't sleep and they're desperate for an answer or a solution to a problem or whatever. Think about those people because that's who you're trying to draw in. What are they searching for? How do you need to set your keywords and your marketing strategy and your social media up so they can find you when they need you? I'm now going to talk about Vine. Vine is a mobile app. Ooh, what happened there? Vine is a mobile app that is only 6 seconds long. And it's an interesting app. I would not have told anybody to use it when it first started, and there's going to be the big catch to even using it now because nudity is allowed, and again, there's interesting content, cussing, whatever. So why would any business want to be on that? Well, believe me, they are. Doritos, Simon Schuster, GE, Tropicana, Nintendo, San Francisco Zoo, Gap, nonprofits, Charity Water, UNICEF, Diabetes UK, huge companies, huge followings, they're on Vine. Now, they put 6-second long videos together because they know their clients, potential customers, future customers, because Vine's a young platform again, also probably, I would have said 24 and down. I'm starting to see a lot more users using it, probably in the upper 20s. So again, you can exchange information. It's great. The 6-second videos tend to be fun and creative when they're coming from the companies. You'll see a lot of stuff on there from just individuals that are junk. But again, these people are knowing what their demographics are and knowing that there have to be on a variety of platforms in order to get their word out. So Vine is embeddable. It's totally looked at as entertainment, but if you go look at a Doritos and a Simon Schuster and GE and go look at the things they're doing, you'll find that they're creative and that they're there. So if you go to Vine and just start looking at it, you're going, why would she ever tell me that? Because this is really inappropriate. It's the way I felt, and sometimes it's the way I feel when I still look at it. But I do have clients that it's important to reach that younger target market, and so we try to help them put creative 6-second vines and to reach that market. So it's a growing market, but please understand that if you go there, that you could be surprised by some of the stuff you see. Instagram. If you just, Instagram is something that a lot of people should be on. Even if you don't think that you're a product-driven business, such as, taking pictures of flowers or whatever, you can be on Instagram anyway. If you're doing great events, like even in coaching and training, and you have classes or whatever, you can take pictures of those and you can put them on Instagram. There's a woman recently that all she did was put interesting content up that she found. And she had like 330,000 followers on Instagram just because she put up great pictures. Some of them were ones she painted and drew, and others. Well, she got such a large following that people started calling her and saying, come to Fashion Week. I need you on Fashion Week to take pictures because we know 330,000 people are going to be watching your Instagram feed. She's been flown now to the Philippines for stuff to take pictures. So again, it's a picture platform and Facebook owns it. So it integrates well with Facebook and you can hashtag. So take pictures and get an Instagram account. And again, another way to get exposure. And though Instagram started for the younger crowd and it's still kind of a younger crowd, you're seeing more and more adults on it all the time. You'll want to experiment with your own user base and followers, but it's likely that the best time to target posts will be to get your audience's eyes, commutes, nights, and weekends. That's the big time for Instagram versus, working hours or that. So again, think about when people are on their phones looking at Instagram. You can link up other social media sites for wide coverage and interaction. Try to interact with people who are interested in what you're offering. Be genuine. This is not corporate in nature platform. So you can't come all off being, corporate ease, or you'll lose followers on that. But the hashtags is really important. So you can hashtag veterans. So if you want to get a picture and hashtag it to them, you can do that. You can put videos on it now, which you couldn't initially, but 15-second videos. You can choose your brand thumbnail. Texting and looping are not allowed, and you cannot embed Instagram into something else. So again, in Instagram initially, you couldn't take pictures off your computer and put on Instagram. It had to be pictures you were actually taking with your phone. So think about that, but another important platform that's getting a lot of attention. Snapchat. I know another one that your teens and young children are using, and you're going, how can that ever be used for business? Well, it can, and it's being used very well as, again, demographics are 13 to 25-year-olds, but growing. Working with a veterans group right now, Army One Source, and they're looking at Snapchat and Vine to try to reach that 25 and under vet or even active service member who is no longer on Facebook. And so they're targeting different ways, and they're going to see what works best, but Snapchat's one of them. And there are 400 million messages sent daily. You snap a picture or a 10-second video, and it can be replayed once in 24 hours, and then it's gone forever. It's great for call to actions or anything with a sense of urgency. Coupons, contests, behind the scenes, new product launch, thanking volunteers if you're a nonprofit are all great ways to do this. Now, in Snapchat, they need to follow you. So you need to have a Snapchat account. You need to have the icon on all your stuff so people can follow you, and then you can send a Snapchat to all those people that are following you. Yogurt Place, granted, it's still a B2C, but in New York did a fabulous job with making coupons. And what they would do is tell people that they were going to Snapchat them a coupon with a percentage off their yogurt. But they had to open it in front of the person to get the discount. So it was fun, but they had to be in the store because the person had to see if it was a 10%, 20%, 30%, or a free one. And so they opened it within the store. And they got tremendous business and new growth business just from doing that. So a nonprofit I worked with was trying to look at new fun ways to thank their volunteers after a great volunteer activity. And they would take little Snapchat pictures and send it to all of them and say thank you, and it just made the people feel special. So yes, Snapchat has been something that the teens have just lived on probably for the last year or two, but obviously more and more people are going to it. Doritos, again, is all over it. Taco Bell, Acura, Rebecca Minkoff are just some of the named businesses that are doing a great job on Snapchat. Foursquare, Swarm, and Yelp. Foursquare just split into two apps. And Swarm will be the location-based services, and Foursquare is going to take on Yelp. There won't be check-ins, but recommendations on local places. And if you have a brick-and-mortar business, you need to be on it. It doesn't want people who are working out of their homes, and that's for obvious reasons. But if you're a brick-and-mortar business, and if you're getting ready to move to a new location, you should go into Foursquare and have your new location on there before you even get it, because people are going to start seeing your name and seeing it in that area, and they're going to know you're moving. So think about that if you're a brick-and-mortar business. You can share details about your business on an official company profile page. even if people aren't checking into your business, they'll see names. And I've done that. I've gone to a business and I actually went to pick up some contacts and I was checking into Foursquare and I found that there was a chiropractor there. And sure enough, I eventually used that chiropractor because I thought, well, eye doctor, chiropractor, same place, great. So don't negate that even if people aren't checking into your business, it's important that they see your name. And you can put free, it's free promotion. Who doesn't like free? Paid promotions are available too, so more people see stuff. But you can even put, I know like Payless Shoes always has a check-in with Foursquare, and you can buy a pair of shoes for half off. And there are different things. American Express ran one with a lot of local restaurants all over the country that if you used your American Express card and checked in, then you got $5 off your bill. So even as a person going out, take a look at Foursquare. It can be fun. And again, I have friends all over the world that I don't know, and that's okay. But I get to see some great pictures of food in Brazil and gorgeous sunsets in South Africa. So it's, you know, the world opens up in social media as well. It does personally and it does for your business. So don't forget that. Keep your information updated in this platform. Pay attention again to keywords in crafting your descriptions. Yelp listings in particular feature prominently in Google searches for local businesses. So again, go back to your local search and make sure you've done that well. And it's going to help you with Foursquare, Swarm, and Google Plus. Google Plus has been an interesting social media platform. I found it weird to start with. There's a lot of people doing GIF animations on it. I think it's starting to increase in usage. Was not one of the predominant ones that I would recommend because, again, time is limited and people weren't on it. But I think with what's going on with Facebook, people are going to land at Google Plus, at least right now. And so that's something that I'm watching quite closely because there's a lot of frustration with businesses on Facebook. So the privacy is much better and stronger than Facebook. The Hangouts are, some people really like doing those. The average time spent on Google is only 7 minutes per month. Remember, Twitter was 177. I mean, wow, there's a big difference right there. Only 22% of online adults visit Google once in a month. And it's been the most misunderstood platform. And that's part of the reason I have not really pushed it as a major social media platform for people. I'm beginning to test it and have people look at it and put their information on it. Of course, a lot of Google Place pages that you used to own converted to Google Plus. So it's just something I'm watching, but I think it's not a bad idea to go and make sure you have a Google Plus page. Stumble upon. Here's one that I love, and most people don't have a clue about. It's a discovery engine, a web search engine that finds and recommends web content to its users. And you get to tell them what you like and rate web pages, photos, and videos. And I can tell them what my tastes are and my interests, and it's going to give me more stumbles. What it basically does is go from one website to the other. And based on my recommendations or based on my likes, it keeps trying to take me to stuff that I like more and more. Because, one, I will spend more time on those websites. And isn't that great for the website? So it was the #1, that should be #1, social media platform that was driving traffic to web pages through 2012. And a lot of people didn't realize that. Huge amount. I mean, it was like 5 or 6 times the next highest social media platform driving web traffic. And Pinterest has kind of taken that over now, but it still drives a significant amount of traffic to your website. They have a paid discovery service that lets you target specific traffic or audience. Guaranteed visitors, no ads or links. You can pay for engaged users, people that stay on your page over 4 seconds. Wow, you can't do that on any other social media platform. And it's cheaper. It's cheaper than Google and Facebook pay-per-click. I knew a marketing company that did a specific blog post with pictures, very inspirational. It was very cool. They spent $100 on StumbleUpon on their paid discovery and got 212,000 website hits. How would you like 212,000 website hits? Now again, quality of content is going to be very important, and pictures are going to be very important on StumbleUpon. But I just wanted to give you this because most people don't know about StumbleUpon. Here's their pricing structure. Their base plan is 10 cents. Again, really cheap. And age targeting, you can specify age, male or female. You can even say what device you want to hit. Location targeting, designated marketing area, city, precise targeting, and again, engaged visitors. So if somebody comes and stumbles upon your page and they're there only for 1 second, you don't pay. So very cool. Go take a look at it. It's not very prevalent to see the paid discovery part. It's like at the very bottom of the StumbleUpon page. And you can add Stumble on your browser. So I can just go, if I'm bored, and hit Stumble, and it'll start taking me to new websites that I can find. And if I like cooking, or if I like pictures, inspirational pictures and whatever, I can find those and it'll take me to more of those. So try StumbleUpon for yourself, and then think about if your business, your blog posts could use something along those lines. Now, other things to consider, and a couple of these I'll probably talk about in my next webinar as well, but email is still golden. Use a pop-up to get email addresses of people you go to their site because they are there for a reason. So make sure you're collecting email addresses. So important, and people are just kind of going, yeah, but still golden. Think about people that are used, or people are connecting with affiliates based on their email marketing list. So that could be you if you want, but you have to collect them, and you have to collect them in a very ethical way. So put a pop-up in. Some people offer some free advice that they can download, or go to a landing page that offers it, or some people just say, hey, if you want more information, or be part of our newsletter, give us your email address. So newsletter and direct mail is still a great way to engage your audience, and all of this works together beautifully. People have to see your name multiple times to want to do business with you, to think about doing business, to even remember your name, because we are bombarded with so much information. So we have to see things multiple times and try to build a trust and a relationship with brands that we want to do business with. Blogs are still huge. 77% of internet users read blogs. If that doesn't stop you in your tracks and think, I'm not doing a blog, should I? Yeah, you probably should. As long as you're doing great content, and it doesn't have to be every day. Some people just do one great article a week. But think about it. What can you do? They don't have to be long. We know attention span is not huge. So keep them short and sweet. Pictures, inspirational. And I always say, because of Pinterest, and there's a huge amount of people reading blogs off of Pinterest, make sure you put a picture on every blog post you do. Companies with a blog have 97 more inbound links than others. That should stop you in your tracks too. And B2B marketers use blogs to generate 67% more leads. So Cynthia, there is a B2B comparison for you. So blogs are pretty important. So think about that. When you step back from all of this, I want you to know your audience. It's like sometimes when I walk in and ask somebody for their loaded labor rate and they can't tell me, and I'm like, seriously? I'll ask them what their demographics of their target audience, and they look at me and their eyes glaze over. And again, I want to say, seriously? You need to know that. And it could be broad and it could be very targeted, but you need to know that. Use multiple platforms. Ask. Find out what your customers are on. People forget to do that. Say, how would you like to get information from me? Would you like it in a newsletter? Would you like it on Twitter? Would you like it on Foursquare? Ask. Know that it's an ever-changing landscape and you need to keep up. And you need to change based on your audience. They're not going to stay with you if you're using something that they think is archaic. If you're on MySpace, how many people left MySpace? And if that was your only way to advertise, well, you lost. How many people go to Yellow Pages anymore? Not many. So you need to keep up with change. That's painful, I know. And you may do something really great, and 6 months from now, you're still doing it and finding out you're not getting the response, and it could be because people have moved to something else. So you need to do that. You will never be able to be complacent, and that's scary to some people. But with social media and marketing as a whole, not just social media, you can't be. Test. See what works and what doesn't. Make sure you understand what success is. It changes. So understand what's success for you. If I have somebody and I love it, if I go out and meet somebody and they said, oh my gosh, I follow you on Twitter. Wow. Now we've got a connection. I've got people asking me for coffee off of Twitter that I've never met before. And I've made business off of that. So just make sure you're out there and understand what success is. And it may not be $1 million coming in your door in the next 6 months, but it could be, 20 people asking you for coffee, that you're building relationships and referring things to them and they're referring things to you. What if your audience isn't on social media? Again, ask where they are. Email is probably the best way to reach out economically. Blogs, Reddit from a news perspective. But considering that the #1 growth group on Twitter is 45 to 65, I think you'll be surprised that a lot more people that didn't used to be on social media are there now. What works for your business? Remember to appeal to one of 3 things: pain, gain, or logic. Think about that 3 a.m. searcher again and test. We often get too caught up on delivery without making sufficient tests to see what works best for our audience. Try it in different ways and see what gets the most response via headlines, landing pages, or whatever. Content is still king. If you get people to your website through social media and nothing happens, you need to go back and look at your website. It's not the social media. It's not how they've gotten there. It's the fact that you've not converted them, and you need to figure out why. Focus groups are great for that. So be prolific and be the star of your market segment. And I'm all about batching stuff, and if you want to get together and do 5 great blog posts all at one time and get them done for the week or the month or however you think is best, then do that. But become prolific, and you're going to get better and better at the content that you're delivering by doing that. But remember, content is still king. People don't like boring stuff. You don't either. So remember that. And I'm going to leave you with one last thing and then ask for questions. Security of social media. I get asked about that a lot. Passwords need to be difficult to hack, and you need to change them often. I mean, that's true of your bank account as well as your Twitter account. If you're worried about security and you're an Android mobile user, do not use Facebook Mobile or Messenger Mobile. The terms of service allows them to read everything on your phone and even make calls, except to emergency numbers. They can read all your emails and all your texts. So understand that. I mean, and Facebook has been caught making calls and reading text messages in 2014 off of Android phones. If you have an iPhone, the terms of service with Apple is much stricter, so they can't do that on Apple phones, but if you have an Android phone, they can. And I've talked to lawyers who didn't know that when I was doing some stuff with, again, Army One Source and the government, and they were like, oh, that's not true on the web version. So if you have information that's really important on your phone that needs to be secure, then only use Facebook if you're an Android user on the web. Again, terms of service on every app. I know people just say, yeah, I agree to the terms of service, but know what they have access to. Facebook's not the only one who does that. Again, especially on Google Play and Android, where you can get stuff up pretty quickly on those app markets. So make decisions based on what your phone carries and how secure you want to be. So know what's private and what isn't on every platform, and just don't hastily say yes to those terms of service. And if you're a business and you have other people using social media for you, train, train, train them on using social media, and make sure that they can't. I mean, I know it's difficult, but you don't want a KitchenAid thing, or some of the other big companies that have lost a ton of business because somebody put an inappropriate tweet up thinking they were on their own account. So you don't want that to happen. So again, train, train, train your people if multiple people are using social media platforms for you. And I think that's it. Are there any other questions?
Yes, Kenna, we have a question about this goes back a little bit, but really thinking about Google, Bing, and Yahoo. And you
Mhm.
had mentioned that it would be good to list on those services and talked about the MacBook and Bing issue. But when people do searches, do you have a sense for whether they're going mostly to Google? That's my understanding, but are they really using Bing and Yahoo as well for search?
Some people still use Bing and Yahoo, different browsers, different things, but the importance of still having Bing and Yahoo as a business page is important for when Google spiders out to find how many times you're mentioned. So it may not be that somebody's on Google looking, I mean, on Bing or Yahoo looking for businesses, but when Google spiders out to go up on your search engine, they'll just pull in those as well. Remember, the important thing is that you're a trusted, respected business that has your name out there in multiple places. So
Okay,
that's why
okay.
those are still important to put up, even if people aren't looking in the search engine themselves.
And then someone really
Anything?
was
Yeah,
glad to hear about this security of social media. You're, in fact, the first person that has brought this issue up that I've heard in regard to social media. So thank you for that. And folks, I want to make sure that you hear what she said. Be sure to look at your terms of service and make sure you understand what they can access, especially if it's going to be on your phone, especially if it's an Android, but certainly for any of the applications. So I just want to confirm and affirm that you've brought this up, Kenna, because I have never seen anyone bring this up before, and I think it's very, very important that you did. So thank you for that.
sure. That was fun.
Well, with that, one thing that you've talked a little bit about is this web radio, and since we have a couple minutes, could you just talk a little bit more about Craving Talk Radio and web radio and kind of what that sphere is about and how that what's happening in that arena? I know it.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. It's kind of a big
I will,
question, but you're
yeah.
good at the 140 characters, so I thought maybe you could
Maybe
fill
not
us
that
in.
good. No. Um, I will say I'll be talking about that more on next month's webinar, as well as I may do a whole one just on podcasting. As you know, there is so much more interest in podcasting now, especially with the Apple that's coming out. Their systems are going to be coming out on new cars, and more people are listening to podcasts in their cars. So we've seen an increase in that, and it's very important, I believe, for people to hear you ahead of time sometimes, and that's what the internet radio and the podcasting allows to do, because people like to do relationships with people they trust. Um, so they get to hear about you if you're on, and the people you're interviewing, and what you believe about, and what kind of person you are, and oh yeah, you take your kid to Little League. I mean, some of those things are important to some people, um, or to a lot of people, and getting your word out and interviewing and being able to really talk from your soul about why you're in business and helping other businesses or whatever your products are, um, it's great on that forum. The Business Performance USA show that is currently on Craving Talk Radio is doing extremely well. Our two newest shows are just hitting it out of the park with BP USA, and the other one is Growing Trends. And the gentleman on that show actually has done landscaping for castles, Westminster Abbey, and Coco Chanel actually had him over to design her rooftop garden. So he's just getting more and more business and whatever, and people are loving listening to him and his experience. And I think that's the important. And as people, I listen to a ton of podcasts. When I get in the car, I don't listen to music as much anymore. I'm listening to both informational and fun podcasts in areas that I may not have the time to go study. Like, I might want to know more about wine, or I may want just a funny few minutes. And podcasting allows you to do that. Plus, businesses, you can make more money than you spend on it. So it's a great additional revenue stream as long as you're willing to go out there and ask people to have commercials on your internet radio show. So we'll talk more about that next month, but we're thrilled with the results we're seeing from not only all over the country. It's really interesting. We have a group in Japan that is over there teaching English as a second language. And they've written us, and somebody downloads the show once a week and puts it on CDs just because of the way that they're set up, and then they pass those CDs around all week. So it's just fun to see who you connect with and how far your exposure is that you never thought it would be. So it's a great additional social media thing to do, and that's why we'll talk about it more in future. But it is
Well,
part of a marketing strategy.
well, thanks, Kenneth, for talking about that. And I'm really glad to know that that's part of your talk next month. And I have that screen up. So, Kenna will talk about, are you leaving money on the table, ways to monetize your business and knowledge. So you're going to want to definitely tune in for that. And also, don't forget that all of Kenna's social media webinar videos are available to you. Just become a member at businessperformanceusa.org, and it's for free. And then you can go out and look for Kenna Lewis and start from the beginning if you haven't heard her before. She's, as you can hear, very energetic, very knowledgeable, and a great guide in this social media world. So, Kenna, we want to thank you so much for today's information, and I look forward to going back and watching the video and making some notes to make sure I'm signed up on all of these different sites. And listen, folks, don't forget that every Tuesday at noon Central, we have great speakers available to you. Next month is Kent Stroman. Next week, the 15th of July, he is going to talk about digging a well before you need water. And it's all about relationships. And Kent, if you've listened to him, is the founder of the Institute for Conversational Fundraising. He's a great guy to know and a great guy to inform you in regard to the big asks and asking investors or asking fundraisers for money. So that's really his area of focus. I'll be back with you on the 22nd to talk about 5 disciplines of high trust leaders. It's a talk that I've given in several locations, been very popular. You'll want to talk about that because trust is essential. You heard that from Kenna. You're going to hear that from Kent. And you'll hear that from me on the 22nd. And then back is Matt Graham with our background screening series. This will be great. This is going to be talking about quality decisions through individualized assessments. And he's going to talk about, will EEOC FTC approve? I have found the background screening series to be very informative for employers, especially in things that you can ask and not ask, and what you can have on your applications, on your websites, in your interviews, and so forth. So you want to be here for that as well. And with that, I want to thank everyone who participated today. Thank you, Kenna. Thank you, audience and listeners. Come back and see us again next week. And also join us on businessperformanceusa.org.